year are senior associates in our accounting world in 2 years. Let's keep in touch with them, because a lot of them, there's a fairly large shift in accounting grads here in the United States after 2 years. You may want to capitalize on that. Tap into younger undergrads and accounting and finance majors. A lot of large firms do that. And leverage your alumni. And you can use a College Frog accounting fly for this. You can also use LinkedIn. You can use Constant Contact if you're familiar with that. Just build a list and email former candidates. Keep in touch with them. It makes so much sense, doesn't it? Because if you have a position that opens up, you could reach back into that talent pool and access it. And this is the last point. The frustrating recruiting process that we talked about earlier is it has this very negative consequence. You're paying recruiters and HR staff fairly well. Let's say you're paying them $40 an hour. And what happens in the recruiting process is they end up doing nothing but data entry and not recruiting. So these great candidates that you bring in, you interview, they're not getting closed. They're not getting communicated to. And it's because because you're probably using an Excel spreadsheet, or maybe you're using like a paper and pencil to organize all of your recruiting. Let's try to get past that and automate it by getting online. And it's not a commercial for our product, but it's something that we figured was a major pain point in our industry, and that is get everybody into a database. Instead of printing out paper resumes when they come on site for interview, view their resume in your College Frog account, add your notes to the candidate, and you're not dealing with pushing paper around. It speeds things up, and this is the screenshot of a candidate, and where you can add notes down the right-hand side, and you can share it with other partners who's interviewing the candidate. So there's no paper involved in the entire process. But the biggest point here is what happens when you automate things like recruiting. You get in touch with great candidates faster than you would if you were doing the old-fashioned way. And I would highly encourage you to look into that. So, the companies that we talked about earlier, the companies that we worked with, Walmart and Dell and whatnot at Monster, there's a good ending to the story. And the ending of the story is that they were able to use websites and internet technology to recruit people. And the metrics that we measured them by was phenomenal success for them, in that they were hiring better people, and they're paying less to do it, and they're doing it faster. And they've been down this path, and you're here with that open talent door, right? And so this is a great opportunity for us to just take a page from their playbook and think a little bit differently about how we recruit. Understand that the race is tightening, and it's only going to get tighter. And for the students out in the audience, you're in a phenomenal opportunity, and I'm excited for you. Your best people are looking. Let them find their new opportunity in your organization, and think that way. What a phenomenal opportunity for all of us, because, by the way, keeping somebody great is a lot easier and less costly than replacing somebody. And technology has really changed a lot about recruiting. 10 years ago, if you look at the accounting firm market, almost zero firms were paperless. Now what about today? The same thing's happening in recruiting. So use that to your advantage and leverage it. So a few thoughts on recruiting, a few thoughts on talent. I'm going to stick around if there's any conversations you'd like to have, and I have a few minutes if there are any questions about what we're talking about. Especially if you job seekers in the audience, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to, and if not, I'll be around for later. All right, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
If anybody has, we'll take 1 or 2 questions now for Jeff, if that's okay, and then you can just find him afterwards by the bar. Does anybody have a quick question for Jeff? I'm assuming he's going to be by the bar. All right, well, if not, Jeff will be here. Jeff, thank you so much for this. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have a question? Oh, you mean right there.
There's a lot of talk about a big gap between, a lot of jobs are open, but no talent to fill them. Do you have any thoughts about that issue?
Well, there are a lot of jobs that are open, but scientifically, there is technically the talent available to fill them. So at least at the collegiate level, there were, I mean, I'll get the numbers wrong, but there were like 50,000 jobs that opened up for accounting grads US, and there was 100% employment. You know, there was 100% of those jobs filled by roughly 50,000 folks filled. That's on the college campus, the college level. But I think what that speaks to is at the experience level, the talent is there. I think we're looking in the wrong places to find them. And I think that's why we talk about, it's not about talent, it's not about geography, it's about where they're at, right? And when you cast that net a little bit wider, you're more likely to find the person. You're just not looking. What do you think? You buy that?
Yeah, no, I absolutely.
By the way, this is an interesting fact we're learning at Monster.com. Anyone have a guess what the top day of the week where the most job searchers are done on Monster.com? Monday after lunch. It's not Monday morning because that's when you have your team meeting. And then you get irritated with your manager. You start thinking, there's got to be something better for me out there. And then you go to Monster and ask them for an interview. Thank you. Good?
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
What made you leave Monster to find this?
I grew up in an accounting firm. I literally had to work in my dad's accounting firm when I was 13 or 14 years old. So I learned a great deal about accounting. I also learned that I would not have made a very good accountant. But I was fascinated by the business side of it. My dream has been to start a business, but I wanted it to be the right opportunity, and so I, in many ways, paid my dues at Monster. I worked very hard there, but I wanted to learn something I could take into a business that I could start. And my co-founder, who actually started the business, and we kind of partnered together, was the kind of spark plug that happened for me. So when I met him, I knew this was the right opportunity. I said, let's take a risk and see what happens. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for attending. Please continue to stay, talk with Jeff, talk with some of our chapter heads, talk with some of our members, some of our partners, talk with each other. And I look forward to having you all here again next year. I'd like to ask the chapter heads to please come up to the front of the room. We're going to actually take a photo this year. We're going to try something different. So thank you all.
Sunshine State. I think
I lied. We're going to go to the back. Kathy, we can go to the back.